This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. Awareness, deconstructing consciousness. I'm holding the intention that the deconstruction of consciousness becomes a worldwide phenomena. Why? Because in the midst of the unlimited potentials and probabilities and possibilities that is available within this system of consciousness, the deconstruction of consciousness is a probability that I've chosen within this system of consciousness, that I am choosing a different outcome than the possibility and probability that's being imposed on humanity at this particular time in human history. That is the submergence deeper and deeper into this quagmire of lies and deception. That in the deconstruction of consciousness, we are piercing the veil, illuminating to all those who have eyes to see how the deception is imposed upon each and every one of us. The title of this sharing is Awareness Deconstructing Consciousness, the Nature of Evil, and I'm also going to combine an article that I did on Napa Valley's wine earthquake, Rattles' son Alcyone, Rothschild's Baroness of wine, simply a mutation in the breaking of the ice of the Neptune, Poseidon, Trident symbolism, and the Neptune-Jupiter energies that I discussed in a previous video. That is, the power control force, they design this world system, all its architecture, and the cities in which you live in have all been designed or pre-planned before the events that are unfolding on this physical world stage. In other words, the architecture of the cities that you live in was pre-planned before the events that are transpiring on this physical world stage. Right now, these cities, these props, this theater stage was designed long before the narratives and scripts that are playing out on the physical world stage. You must come to know the truth of this. Just like in a movie, you would have props and stages designed based on the narratives and script of the writer of the script for that movie. Same thing. The power control force, those that presume to run this world, develop the scripts, the narratives that would play out on the physical world stage for our lifetime and many lifetimes, all the lifetimes on this physical world stage. And they also design the props, the cities in which these narratives and scripts would play out. You've come to understand the deeper truths of what you've been manipulated into. The reason why I want to share about the Rothschilds, Baroness of wine, apparently she died the day before the earthquake in Napa Valley. Definitely saw a connection there. But I have to mention to you that I did say on my Facebook page that I was no longer going to share from the perspective of Deep Truth Media and connecting the dots. But I was inclined to do so in this particular sharing simply because it ties in with what I had been sharing through Deep Truth Media over the past 6 months, and it included the Rothschilds, so I thought that would be a very good reason to. But also, I do understand that for those of you who are listening in for the first time, it's probably not going to be making any sense to you, and even for those that have been listening to me, it may not still make sense to you. What I've come to realize is that as I connect the dots, it's really for my own purpose to dismantle this system, the survival program, which I shared in my last audio, how we are to become the creator and the distinction between the program that we are under, which is the survival program. And so this is the program that we are immersed in, this survival program that we've grown up into. This is the program that I am referring to when I initially talked about this lattice work, this harmonic lattice work about 6 weeks ago that I was dismantling off of me. I could not define it at that stage, and it wasn't until after I did the last audio that I came to the realization that this was the program that I initially didn't know directly that I was dismantling off of me, this survival program. So this is deconstructing consciousness. We are deconstructing consciousness in real time. That's the beauty of this experiment. Put the piece together on this Napa Wine Valley earthquake and the connection between the Rothschilds, Baroness wine connoisseur I really didn't want to put that one together. It was interesting. I was looking through some of my photos and pictures and just saying, it is such a waste of time, energy, that is, to share at this level. And I found it a little bit, the energy, the vibration kind of brought my energy down a bit. So I'm going to try to figure out a way in which I can still share, because I never should have said on Facebook that I wasn't going to share the deep truth, connecting the dots kind of information. I just need to do it in a way that honors me and provides more clarity to those of you who are listening here, because it's almost like I'm speaking in another language. It's something that I'm understanding or understanding myself, but I'm not really sure that I'm making the right connections and translating that to you. However, when it comes to awareness deconstructing consciousness, I am more sure that message, what I am teaching there, is very clear. There's a lot more clarity. That being said, with the awareness deconstructing consciousness, it's a probability or possibility that we are experimenting with in this system of consciousness. It's never been done before. And so it doesn't fit in with the rule set of this system of consciousness. So it's going to hit on everything that you believe. And you will probably be doubting everything that I say to a certain extent because it doesn't fit into the rule set of consciousness or what you know of consciousness, you see. So this is the dilemma. I'm not under the delusion or the illusion that you will get what it is that I'm sharing. This is very pioneering. It's leading edge, if not bleeding edge. So you have to use your own discretion. When you listen here and tune into yourself and see for yourself whether it resonates with you or not, and not be so inclined to associate what it is that I'm sharing with those intellectuals that you admire and aspire to within the system who you feel are telling the truth. It's not that they're lying to you, it's just that they don't know the higher order of things yet. And so you transcend your third dimensional reality through the portal of the heart. That is the gateway that allows you to transcend the speed of light out of this universe so that you can know self as awareness, which is what? Immaterial. It's no thing. You do not transcend out of consciousness through the pineal gland. That is a deception. It is a part of the process of knowing self as awareness. But if you buy into that lie, then you remain in this consciousness. That is the tricking and deceiving someone through knowledge. Awareness, the awareness that is you, resides outside of this universe. That is critical for you to understand and come to know the truth of. You have absolutely nothing to do with consciousness as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Consciousness is the light that has seduced your awareness into this system of consciousness. Now, the deconstruction of consciousness is one possibility within all possibilities and probabilities that one can manifest in this system of consciousness. The word consciousness, if you dare to break it down and look up the individuated parts, means to trick and deceive someone through knowledge. This is the higher level meaning of the word consciousness. It's a word that carries a deep subliminal message and spell. Language is used to deceive you. Your awareness, that is, because you are all-knowing and wise. So if you are all-knowing and wise, why would you even need language? Because language is the deception. It is a tool that is used to deceive your awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Most words have spells, and so this causes you to distort your reality, your awareness, which is the ultimate reality. So with regards to this article on the Napa Valley Baroness, I just want to touch on a few points here. And that was, I've made a number of connections over the past couple of days, which coincide with a lot of the sharing on the blog, Deep Truth Media, over the last 6 months, that I wanted to update you on a few of the latest events that have transpired on the physical world stage that I felt were worth sharing in light of my video on Neptune, Jupiter, the energies. This is what's more important. The higher order is for you to tune into this Neptune, Jupiter energy, this configuration that provides the opportunity for you to wake up out of this system of consciousness. But it is obscured through these narratives and scripts that play out on the physical world stage, these rituals, that is. So this particular sharing on this Rothschild's Baroness of wine in the Napa Valley's wine earthquake is a ritual that goes back to the Philippine earthquake in November of 2013. Philippine de Rothschild, the one nobility, dies at 80, August the 23rd, which is the same day that the New Horizon probe from NASA crossed the orbit of Neptune. So Philippine is, again, a reference to horses. Philip Seymour Hoffman, remember? So if you don't know or unable to connect the dots or see how I'm connecting the dots, you'll have to go back. You can just click on the link to this article in the description and go back over a few of the articles there and you'll see the thread and you can read at your leisure. So if you're just coming into this for the first time, you're not maybe going to understand a lot of these connections. Anyway, I watched the Rothschilds quite a bit, and lo and behold, the day after the earthquake in Napa Valley, wine country, I did a query on the Rothschilds, and I found that this Filipina de Rothschild, who is the wine nobility, she's an owner of a wine or wine connoisseur company, she died on August the 23rd, a day before the Northern California quake in Napa Valley wine country. So I made the connection there. Now it turns out that Poseidon's vineyard is a little less than a mile north of the quake epicenter, and the quake epicenter is on Milton Road. Well, if you go back 3 years, I started talking about John Milton and Paradise Lost. And the reason why I bring up Milton Road as the epicenter is because all of this is all planned out long before these events are taking place, like I initially said. You can read at your leisure this article that I've posted in the description. But this is all going back to the Dark Horse Nebulae, because this is the year of the horses, the Chinese year of the horses. And I feel that this ritual that's continuing from the Philippines disaster in November, on the same thread of Katy Perry's Dark Horses video, the death, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Denver Broncos, Super Bowl game this year, and the connections there which I have highlighted. It's all tying into this ritual, which is continuing, but I found it very interesting that the Power Control Force use their own rituals, which I find quite interesting. And then with the whole concept of NASA's Horizon probe orbiting Neptune on the 23rd as well, it being 1.5 miles from the epicenter, Poseidon's vineyard being very close to where the earthquake took place. So Poseidon and Neptune were weapons whose weapons of choice is the Trident, is the god of the sea, but also the earthshaker, the one who causes earthquakes. So there's definitely a connection here. He is also called the tamer of horses. And if you remember my post on the Dark Horse Nebulae, where all this energy is flowing from in the galactic center, you know the energy that is switching on our higher order genetic coding. I see the deeper connection to the new energy bathing our planet with a tie-in with the planet Neptune, which astrologically is the void of nothingness. So Neptune represents the void of nothingness, the higher octave of the planetary spheres in our solar system. And Pluto represents the creative potential within Neptune. And Uranus is the planet or energy that creates this perpetual desire to know itself. That is awareness. So that creates the rebirthing. So these three planets are the higher octave, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, higher octave of the structure of the system of consciousness. So you can read the rest of the article. But again, what we're dealing about is the third dimensional riddles, the power control force used to keep us from our, evolution out of this system of consciousness. Because, we are awareness. So what would you do when you know that the system is capturing your awareness? So the power control force know that you are all-knowing and wise. They've captured you in the system of consciousness. And how do they keep you here? By seducing you into wanting to know more in your low vibratory sphere of imprisonment, enslavement within this system, the survival program. And so they give you all these riddles and clues, but it's by design so that, you're forever caught in the system of consciousness. So all this trying to figure out the connections, predicting what's going to happen next on the system of consciousness or in this third dimensional reality that we're immersed in, is factored in to keep you immersed in this system of consciousness. So I'm going to leave you to look at the rest of the article at your leisure, but it's really important for us not to focus so much on trying to connect the dots, but really trying to understand the system of consciousness that we're in. And this is a part of it, but it can get very confusing if we allow ourselves to stay immersed in here, just focusing on connecting the dots. It's kind of like this addiction to the fact that we want to know more. And it's that addiction to being immersed in an imprisoned environment, the addiction to the not knowing, right? Is it not knowing? I want to know more. It's like a not knowing. I don't want to know more. It's like it's an addiction to truth, wanting to know truth. Yeah. So with regards to this Alcyone, and I'll leave you with this, Alcyone is the binary system stars, our second sun, and Alcyone lines up with Vancouver Island to Northern California, where this earthquake happened. And so I believe that this was the Rothschilds involved with Alcyone, is that it was a ritual for their god or something of that nature anyway. But it's really about diverting your attention from these energies that allow you to wake up. And that's why the focus on Neptune and this Neptune probe. This Neptune probe is just a technology that is what? Probing consciousness, probing the void, you see, at the higher level. So don't get seduced into all this connecting the dots like I did. Because really, it was just to connect the dots so that I could dismantle this womb matrix off of me and learn the deeper truths of what's going on. I see this system of consciousness separate from myself, that is the personality chaos, and separate from that which I am as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. And this is important, as humanity, for the most part, experiences consciousness as one with the biological vehicle and the environment, submerged in time and space within this third-dimensional reality. So when I hear people say we are consciousness evolving to higher levels of consciousness, now I know that they are still operating within this system of consciousness. It is important that we recognize and come to the truth in knowing that we are not a soul, and that as awareness, we exist outside of the system of consciousness. And so that you know that whenever you hear anyone talking about consciousness now and the soul, and that you are consciousness and have a soul and that you are light, well then you know they do not know who they are. This does not mean that they are not spreading truth. It's just that they do not know the full extent of who they are. And this goes for all the experts you love and admire. They are still caught in the womb matrix of consciousness that is designed only for one to reach higher states of consciousness or to reach enlightenment, which is only for few and the chosen in this system of consciousness, which is the ultimate lie. This whole system of consciousness is a lie. And so that can be daunting for anyone coming in and listening to this information and sharing. But we are deconstructing consciousness. And so you're going to hear new things. The objective, if there is one here, is that you transcend the speed of light. You transcend the system of consciousness. And you come to know the truth of who you are. Now this is another article that I'm posting in the description on the nature of evil. It's awareness, deconstructing consciousness, and the nature of evil. You can read this at your leisure as well. The system of consciousness is a womb matrix designed to keep you from the knowing and truth of who you are while trying to reach higher levels of consciousness. That is, while you try to reach higher levels of consciousness. The universal architects did the unthinkable. They took your awareness and molded it with their awareness, which is the all-knowing and wise, or wisdom, that is you, and created a system of consciousness in order to seduce your awareness and capture your awareness in its natural state of paradise. They designed the thought process, and consciousness along with the biological vehicle that you inhabit as awareness, so that you would forever lose yourself in your body, thinking, mind, and body were one, forever submerging you in your environment, which created the perfect environment for you to forget yourself as awareness through all the intellectual systems on this planet, through all their fake texts, through all their fake religions, through all the fake narratives and stories that are perpetrated through the media, forever keeping you locked in a low vibratory frequency of amnesia, living through a survival program which has been imposed upon you from birth, leaving you forever searching for truth in a physical world system that is designed to forever keep you from the knowing and truth of who you are. This is insanity. It's the energy of evil, gleefully at work. What's interesting is that when I share this type of information, even for me, it can become an assault on my awareness. That is, the program does not allow for me even to know self through the ego consciousness, the conscious mind in the brain, and my five senses. My five senses, which is how most of us experience this physical world. That's what keeps us submerged in the program of third dimension. So I can only share what I am sharing when I share through the heart space as awareness. That is when I have clarity and the program continues to dissolve itself and I can see things outside of this universe as though I am looking at a TV program, this physical world stage. So I look at this dimension, this physical universe as awareness, as if I'm looking through a telescope or a television screen. So the very first thing to understand about evil is that what we call evil is the energy of consciousness and was put in motion simultaneously at the very moment of the manifested creation itself. What we want to call God or the source is itself not perfect. It is this consciousness that is created through evil that creates the imperfection, because you are perfect as awareness. You are perfection. And what you experience in this physical dimension is imperfection. That which you are not, the imperfections that you are caught up into. I'm this, I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm ugly, I have this distortion, I have that, I'm not good, it's all this I'm not. Nonsense. All that is imperfect is what you experience and what you're caught up into in this physical dimension. So the creation point is born relative to what we can call imperfection. That is the system of consciousness. Therefore, we have the principles of duality as a direct reflection of creation once it was set in motion. And relative to the natural law of duality, night and day, male and female, yin and yang, etc., we also have the natural duality in polarity of what we call good or God and evil. Good and bad, God and evil, or good, God, and evil. It is simultaneous to the creation point. So we have an energy then, which we can also use the terminology of consciousness as part of what we call evil. Evil and its existence is in fact dependent on the maintenance of all human illusion, all human delusion that is considered reality in the system of consciousness. The existence of evil is dependent on keeping awareness, which is the ultimate reality, away from and separate from itself. Evil will be sustained until the very source of awareness itself evolves to its own perfection, at which point there will be no necessity for a manifested creation. The existence of evil is dependent on the maintenance and separation from awareness, separation from anything that will allow a person to grow, to improve itself, or to have an active desire to know itself. Evil will always create the opposite reality intended. 99% of the energy of evil is used to be unseen by the majority of humanity. However, that is no longer the case. The power control force plan, execute, and expose evil at every turn. That is why we see more evil on the planet now, because the power control force have created an environment of culture of death in order to keep humanity forever lost and submerged from the knowing and truth of who and what they are in this system of consciousness. When you have people say, I am awake, when you say I am awake, you're implying that you were what? Asleep. But here is a deeper meaning. Awake. If you split the word awake, wake, means death. So what you're really saying is I'm dead. Look up the word wake. What you're really saying is dead. I'm dead. It's a subliminal and a very powerful one that the power control force have you hooked on, that you are awake. This is why it's important to choose your words. Words have spells, And it's the spells that keep you under massive, what? Hypnosis. So imagine, if you can, a moment in time in which every human being on this planet at the same second simply desired to know self as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Right then and there, the very existence of evil itself would not exist. Imagine that. Both these articles are in the description. It truly is a glorious time. The energies are palpable. I can understand why the power control force at every turn are trying to circumvent and further seduce you into their survival program, conjuring up all kinds of narratives and scripts in order to get you to acquiesce your freedoms and rights in this system of consciousness, because they know that you are coming to know the truth of who you are as awareness, and they don't want that to happen, because when that happens, then you start doing things like I'm doing, deconstructing consciousness, constructing the system that I have spent so long building. But the time has come. The system is done. If you're completely done with this system, if you're finished with this system, then you must take matters into your own hands and become self-responsible, sovereign being. You must come to know the truth of who you are, transcend the speed of light, and come to know self as awareness, and still live in the system of consciousness at a higher vibratory state, accessing the higher order in the truth of who you are, and live out the rest of your existence, forever creating a reality of your own choosing and making, instead of the one that's being spoon-fed to you. I thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.